Welcome to the Nightly Nuge.
Welcome to a weekend edition of the Nightly Nuge. How's your weekend going so far, Mr. Nugent?
I'll tell you, my weekends are great. My weekdays are great. My 73 years has been so much fun so far, I can hardly stand myself. Happy winter hunting season to everybody out there.
You know, you're a prolific writer, and I've actually been writing a story every other week for Hunter Nation at hunternation.org. And my story that's up right now is all about a story about mentoring new people into the outdoors. And I know that's a topic that's, really hot on your agenda list. What's your take on mentoring new people into the outdoors, whether it's men or women, young or old?
Well, I've been doing it a long time. I started being approached by rock and roll fans back in the 1960s because they could see everywhere I went, every interview I did in my songs, Living in the Woods, Hibernation, Migration, Loaded for Bear. I mean, I've always referenced my love of the great outdoors just instinctively, the Great White Buffalo, the Fred Bear song. And so people would latch on to my passion for my hunting lifestyle because it was the first time they'd ever heard any entertainer ever raise hell about it and promote it and celebrate it with such gonzo gusto, shall we say. So a lot of young people would contact me. And back then there was no cell phones, there was no internet. It would just be backstage or on the road or at a restaurant or a gas station somewhere. And they would ask me, what kind of bow should I get? What kind of gun should I get? What kind of ammo? Where do I go? How do I do it? So I would start, sharing my love of the outdoors and what little knowledge I had. It was substantial knowledge because I've been doing it since I was born, but I didn't qualify as an expert. But as time went on, I became more knowledgeable and I was able to articulate a better system by which they could be baptized into the aim small, miss small marksmanship, the mystical flight of the arrow, the stealthy, tuned in predator, that martial arts, that samurai spirit of oneness, where the term spirit of the wild came from. And I would like to salute everybody. You see a lot of these TV show guys on all the different outdoor networks that are really pursuing the recruitment imperative. We have to get these young people out of the streets, off the zombie technology. And I salute and thank them all. But the most important thing I can share with everybody, Keith, is that be very careful. There isn't a magic age. In fact, we've been fighting. I've been very successful in eliminating bureaucrats' minimum age for hunting because a bureaucrat doesn't know when Johnny or Sally is ready to go hunting. Mom and dad know. That being said, I see an awful lot of these TV hosts taking their young sons and daughters or young people, whether they're friends or neighbors, getting them in the deer blind. The kid doesn't even know how to hold the gun. The host has to constantly adjust the scope or take the safety off the crossbow. If that kid doesn't know how to operate that crossbow or that rifle, they shouldn't be hunting. All that has to be perfected before the hunt starts. In a scramble to recruit, because it's very, very important, they're getting ahead of themselves. If that kid is struggling to find the crosshairs and the scope in the deer blind, he's not ready. If you have to take the safety off that weapon, the kid's not ready. If their eye relief on the scope is way back here, there's going to be parallax. They're not going to get a zeroed in center crosshair on that target. More care and attention and more time has to be put into preparing these children before the hunt ever starts. Here's a perfect example. We've had our Ted Nugent Kamp For Kids charity, a 501c3, for 33 years. And these great volunteers, they make it happen, not me. I don't make it happen. It's the volunteers that make it happen. But in the early days, we'd get these young boys and girls, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old that have never handled a gun before. And they take them to the range and start throwing clay birds, clay targets. And these kids are shooting 20 gauge shotguns. You and I have a hard time hitting a clay bird with a 20 gauge shotgun, much less a 410. That's not an introduction gauge. It's not a gauge, it's a caliber. That's an expert's shotgun. You have to be an expert to hit a clay bird with a 410. Yep. Here's an example of whether it's archery, black powder, handguns, rifles, shotguns, bows and arrows, crossbows. Here's an example of how to baptize a child. With a shotgun, get the lightest load 410 you can possibly get. Ultimately, a semi-automatic 410, very rare, but if you can find one, do it. With the lightest loads possible, you set that clay bird up on a dirt berm. Set it on the ground. And the adult should check out that shotgun's pattern so it's at the optimum spread at the distance that child is shooting that clay bird. Always ears and eyes protection, but get that kid to learn to put that bead on the clay bird sitting on a berm. And then the recoil will not play a role because they'll see their shot blowing up that clay bird. Now it's all about blowing up the clay bird. You can't hit a 50-mile-an-hour clay bird. That's not how you introduce a kid to shotgunning. There's no confidence building there. But a few times at a clay bird on a berm, now they can't wait to shoot it again. And in every instance, Keith, those kids can't wait to load that gun and shoot that clay bird. Now, get it at the same range where the pattern is optimal. Your number 9 shot, number 9 ultra light target loads. Now put that clay bird on a swinging string and get back behind that kid. So now it's a reasonable target. Not a boom. Yeah. That will literally discourage those kids. I've seen it happen. This is not a hunch. This is not presumption. I've witnessed it. Make it as easy as possible. Same with archery. Get them 10 feet from a good backstop so that they can really see the target, big target, with a big backstop. With their arrows, they can actually see what they're doing. So their arrow is naturally hand-eye coordinated pointing. So the bottom line of what I'm saying here, don't push too hard. Make it fun and easy, but do all the preparation way before the hunt starts. Because if they're struggling to pull that bow back, if they don't know how the crossbow or the shotgun or the rifle operates in the blind, that kid's going to have heartbreak. And I've watched it happen too many times. So do all the advanced work at the range, not on the hunt. That'll make all the difference in the world.
Great insight. And again, I would just mention, if you go to hunternation.org right now, I have a kind of a fun little article, a story that I wrote about a country kid that introduces some city folks to the hunting lifestyle. I think you'll enjoy it. So Ted, again, thanks for another great week of the Nightly Nooge. And if everyone comes back on Monday, we'll have another edition of the Nightly Nooge. Great stuff.
Thanks, Keith. Happy wintertime, everybody. Get those kids out there, but make sure you prep them before the hunt starts.